Strap into your seats and get ready. It's time for the Mortarpod.
Hey everybody, Alex Stevenson, Jake Face here. Welcome to this week's episode of the Mortarpod.
Hey.
Jake, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. Let's do some bumpers off the top real quick, guys. Follow us on Twitter at SeemsGoodMagic, and you'll see when I've posted a new draft video, or when I'm live streaming, or when we put up a new podcast. I tweet about that too. So at SeemsGoodMagic for Twitter. Stream times, I do it at twitch.tv/Inez27, and ordinarily my times are Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. Central Time, but I'll log on and do some additional stuff every once in a while when I have the free time to do it. Also, Mortarpod is brought to you by SeemsGoodMagic.com, and that's our community website where I post strategy videos for Magic the Gathering, do a lot of draft content. Just started dipping into Modern, Legacy, I've got Standard, so I've got all the key formats that I'm recording now, and Vintage when that comes online. I'm going to get into that too, so that should be exciting. I'm going to get that foil Power 9, I assure you that. I'm going to spend my life savings getting that foil Power 9.
Well, good luck to you.
Yeah. You can email me at mortarpod@seemsgoodmagic.com, and I respond to that, so feel free if you've got any questions, concerns, comments, criticisms, any of the C's, and get a hold of me.
Questions.
Oh, that's not a C. You're right. All right, well, C's and Q's. Send your C's and Q's to me. It's like P's and Q's. C's and Q's.
And what is P's and Q's anyway? What is P's?
Actually, that's a good question. I don't know what P's and Q's means. Someone write me and let us know what P's and Q's.
But C's and Q's is actually, that's us.
That's us. We made that one.
Yeah.
You heard it here live. The conception of it. Okay. All right, well, let's dive right into our F&M reports. Oh, I've got a bumper for that, though. A nice little...
Need to get talents down.
You hear that? American hawk. Or eagle, maybe.
Bird of prey.
Bird of
just
fake
a raptor.
Synthesized bird of prey. Alright, so I'll go first. I'm still playing the red-white Boros aggro list, and I was actually going to go to a PTQ yesterday, and I didn't because the most recent deck that had won a PTQ was a sort of red-white Devotion deck, and that deck is like Boros Reckoners and Frostburn Weirds, Ash Zealots, Chandra's Phoenixes sometimes, Chandra the Planeswalker, Stormbreath Dragons. Just a lot of stuff that's devastating against me. The Reckoners and Frostburn Weirds in particular, and even Ash Zealot's a great blocker against me. So it's literally my worst match, and it just won the Star City Games event. And I do feel like the place that we go to, Legion, in where is it? It's not Is it in Burnsville or?
It's up in.
It's around that area in Minnesota.
Suburbs of the Twin Cities.
I feel like the deck that most recently wins does have a huge impact on a lot of people's idea for what deck they want to bring in. Some people, you know, they're stuck on their thing and they'll just keep doing it. It's their control player. They'll just always play blue-white control. But some people can change on a dime and swap right into that list. It's like, that looks like a good deck for this meta, or they'll make meta calls, and I just really don't like the idea of this deck going into a field with a lot of that deck. I really would feel not confident, so I decided not to go. But I'll run through my list real quick. I haven't changed anything much. I've added another Hammer of Perforos to the sideboard, but it's 4 Rakdos Cackler, 4 Fire Drinker Satyr, 4 Burning Tree Emissary, 4 Fire Fist Striker, 4 Gorehouse Chainwalker, 4 Chandra's Phoenix, 4 Shock, 4 Lightning Strike, 4 Shane to the Rocks, 2 Boros Charm, and then it's got 4 Temple of Triumph, 4 Sacred Foundry, 4 Mutavault, 10 Mountains. And then sideboard, 1 Boros Charm, 1 Wear and Tear, 3 Skullcrack, 2 Pacifism, 3 Electrickery, 2 Mizium Mortars, 1 Active Treason, 2 Hammered Perforos. So, almost like a red deck wins. Slightly different since it uses the Chain to the Rocks to take care of Master of Waves and Boros Reckoners, Desecration Demons, the big stuff that burn decks would have a hard time dealing with. It's a little bit creature light compared to most of the red deck wins. I think most of them run 30 creatures, and mine with the Mutavaults only runs 28. So a little bit creature light for that, but I really like having access to the 4 Chain to the Rocks because I feel like I just use it all the time.
Yeah.
Even Voice of Resurgence locks it on Smiter.
Mm-hmm.
There's no like Pillar of Flame effect in Standard right now, and it's always annoying when there's creatures that have great value, like Voice of Resurgence.
Right.
Actually, is there anything else like Voice in Standard right now that has value when it goes to the graveyard? There probably is. I just can't think of it right now.
Yeah, I'm sure there are. I mean, other than scavenge creatures, which aren't getting played.
Yeah, I guess that's true. There really aren't any. The only one that comes to mind is like Viral's is seeing a wee bit of play in some of the.
Scavenging is to an extent wants creatures in graveyards,
So it'd be nice to pillar away stuff for that too. That's true. But yeah, there's no Pillar Flame, there's no Magma Spray. So Voice of Resurgence is a really popular card if you're in green-white. You pretty much are playing it in green-white right now. And it's obviously good against our deck. So, I mean, obviously the goal of the deck is to just pee out a bunch of creatures and then kill them by turn 5 and 6. It's a fairly consistent deck, but like I said, the mono red or the red-white sort of devotion deck just cripples us, and we don't have much of that in our meta at all, as a matter of fact. Probably 0 people are playing it in our meta, so I've been able to dodge it all of these weeks, but I really felt like I was going to run into it at Legion at the PTQ. But I'll go on to my rounds. So round 1, I played against Mono Black Devotion, and I beat it 2-0. So he was getting land screwed both the games. He got to 3 mana and then couldn't hit his 4th to play his Desecration Demon. So he was just trying to spot removal me until he could find his 4th land. Alright, so he was trying to spot removal out all of my guys, but I just couldn't keep up, couldn't hit the 4th land, couldn't play the Desecration Demon, so I was able to capitalize and take him down. And Pack Rat is something that Mono Black tries to like take advantage of, and it's like not that good against me because I've got all the cheap spot removal, you know. So I was able to take that deck out. Round 2, I played against Black, Red, White mid-range deck, and that is chock full of a lot of good stuff against my deck. It's got like main deck Blood Baron of Vizcopas and Boros Reckoners, and then all the removal in the world, like what's the Dreadbore, Hero's Downfall, Devour Flesh. He doesn't run any burn removal in there, but he probably does like Ultimate Price or something on a sideboard.
Yeah, and, I mean, black removal is so strong that you don't really need any other.
No, he definitely does Devour Fleshes too, though. Those are really popular right now because a lot of people are running the Blood Barons. So that can be really crippling. It's also really good defensively for those mono black decks, as you'll see when I get to my next round, because I ended up losing. He sacrificed his own Desecration Demon and gained like 9 life or something. So that's obviously, you know, really good against this too. But I was able to sort of just stomp the black, red, white mid-range. He was having a little bit of mana color issues. So, because it's 3 color, he really needs to hit his lands, and I think he was struggling to hit one of his colors in the game. So, he also runs Chain to the Rocks in that deck too, which is still good against us. So, Anger the Gods out of sideboard. I feel like he has a good match against this deck in particular because he runs so many threats that are tough to deal with, like Desecration Demon and Reckoner. Desecration Demon a little bit less so because I probably have creatures I can throw away and get in. Yeah, actually I was talking about that at FNM, that Desecration Demon is like played as a guaranteed 4 of in all the mono black decks. But where is it like shine the most, you know? Is it good against is it probably good against the Esper control? Because not even really, right? Because they have the spot removal for it. So I don't know what decks are like weak against.
I think mono black likes it just because you do sacrifice creatures to it to keep your creature count low, so they can spot remove you because they don't really have a lot of mass removal access to any mass removal. Really.
Yeah. So you think?
So mono black is probably the one that really likes to play the 4 of Desecration because.
I mean, what matches is it good in? Like,
Oh,
do you want it against other mid-range? Do
I
you want
think
it
you
against...
actually,
It's not that... I feel like it's not that good against aggro, because they can sack a dude and still get past it,
yeah.
or
It's
just
not good
attack
against
into it.
control either, because, I don't know, I don't think I've ever been hit by one.
So
Or if I
maybe
have, it's
against...
only been hit once.
Maybe against other mid-range decks is
Yeah.
really where it shines. Like the green-white sort of decks, because they have to sack like blocks it on Smiter or
Yeah.
something.
Like
Like
relevant creatures.
it clogs up their big dudes so they can't get in. So anyway, I beat the black, red, white mid-rangey thing. Round 3, played against Mono Black Devotion again. This one did more white stuff. It was kind of a unique Mono Black Devotion actually. It had like Soldier of the Pantheon main deck, which is really good against me. It stops Cackler and Burning Tree, and he annihilated me. Post sideboard, he had brought in Sin Collectors, and he hit for value like back to back turns 3 and 4. So he really crippled me in both games, and that was a rough match. So I mean, Mono Black is still good. I don't think it made any of the top 8 slots in the last Star City Games event that I checked. Surprisingly,
Yeah.
it was mostly like mono blue and then red X variants. It looks like Purphoros is starting to see a little bit of play in that Devotion deck as well.
Yeah.
So I got annihilated by that, and then round 4, I played against the Mono Blue Devotion. That's been beating me the last couple weeks, and it beat me again this week. So I had talked to you a little bit about what I want to need to swap out of sideboard to keep up with that deck, and you had suggested Last Breath as additional stuff to take out the Master of Waves, and even Frostburn Weird. And I think I'm going to get behind that and put a couple in sideboard, try that out. Because right now I'm doing Pacifisms, which are good in some matches against Smiters and maybe Desecration Demons, but I think the Last Breath is necessary, because I really do want to take out... It's really nice that it gets rid of the Devotion that the Frostburn Weird generates, unlike Pacifism, and it just straight up stops the Master of Waves. So if I don't have to worry about that, then if I have 6 answers to it post sideboard, I would hope that that's enough. But the fact that they run Jace Architect of Thought too is really devastating, because I've got so many little creatures that I'm distributing damage.
Yeah.
So it really slows me down. They've got a lot of good stuff against me, and there's not a lot I can do against Jace. I almost want more Boros Charm, because then I can maybe burn them out. But Boros Charm in particular isn't that good against Mono Blue, because you're pretty much only burning them with it.
Yeah, you can't use any of the other modes.
They're not really that... Yeah, the other modes really aren't that important. Like, I could see...
guess if they block with a 2/3 Cloudfin Raptor and you need to use Double Strike to kill.
Or Indestructible if they... in some sort of attacking, blocking situation. I've had that come up where I was in a bad spot and I didn't have removal from Master of Waves. So he attacked with all his tokens, and I blocked all of most of his tokens, and then Indestructible my guys. So it took out his tokens and preserved my army a lot. It still didn't feel like I was getting a lot of value out of it.
Yeah.
So the Mono Blue Devotion deck is just good in particular, and it's a tough match. And they really, you need to get past those Frostburn Weirds or deal with them immediately. So I'm going to try out the Last Breath, but I did not make top 8. I went 2-2. So I've been having kind of a rough couple weeks here, not able to get in. So I think it's time to make a couple either main deck or sideboard changes. But I'm going to try the Last Breath, see if that helps in that match. Who knows, it might even help in some other match too. It's actually kind of cool. You can do it to your own guy defensively, which makes it not terrible maybe in the white meanie match even, in a pinch you maybe are able to kill their precinct captain, or if they've got you and lethal, you can kill one of your own guys, maybe kill them on the backswing if they overextend. It's just an option. So that's okay, all I've got for that. Jake, you rolled something unique this week. Typically, Jake plays Esper Control, and this week maybe you want to run through what you did.
Yeah, I decided to play like a mono green Devotion, and I was trying to do as many creatures as I could, just so that I could hit with my Planeswalkers. So it might look a little different from a regular one, and I also don't have enough Burning Tree Emissaries right now to play them, so I just didn't play them. I played 3 Domri and 4 Garrett and 1 Clan Defiance, so I was only running 8 spells. And then for creatures, I had 4 Elvish Mystic, 2 Scavenging Ooze, 4 Sylvan Caryatid, 4 Voyaging Satyr, 1 Nylea, 4 Polychronos, 4 Arbor Colossus, 1 Rurik Thar the Unbowed, and 4 Sylvan Primordial. And I only own 3 Nykthos, so I only ran 3.
Oh, usually you do 4 or
Yeah,
what?
I think so. Because you can play 2, like have 1 up, play it, etc.
Generate a million mana.
Yeah. But I only own 3, so I played it Encroaching Waste in that other spot just to try it out because we had a few mono black players and they like to enchant things with
Oh, Underworld
Underworld,
Connections.
so
That's
I
actually
thought,
that's a good piece of tech.
yeah.
But
And
it's
it
only
kills
non-basics,
Mutavault.
right?
Yeah, it
Okay.
kills Mutavault too, but I don't have any removal in my deck per se, except for Domri, so. Anyway, my sideboard was 1 Ranger's Guile, 1 Destructive Revelry, 1 Bow of Nylea, 1 Fade into Antiquity, 1 Bramble Crush, 3 Nylea's Disciple, 2 Xenagos, 1 Guild Feud, 1 Rurik Thar, and 3 Mistcutter Hydra. In my matches, I played round 1 versus green-white mid-range, and I lost 0-2. It was kind of a frustrating match, actually. I think I got mana screwed in both games.
I think you had a mulligan
Yeah, I had to mull down
twice,
to 5
okay, on the second one.
something like that when I
On the
was on the
play
play,
in the
yeah.
second game, yeah.
And didn't really have an outstanding hand even when I mulled, so it was really sad. Didn't really have a good match.
And he was playing kind of unusual one, right? Because he had a lot of cheap creatures, but then he finished it like Elspeth or something, right? I saw he had like Experiment 1 and Voice of Resurgence and Boon Satyr.
Yeah, I mean it was a little different, I suppose, from what we're used to.
He wasn't ramping though, was he? Or
I think he had Mystic,
oh, okay.
but I can't remember exactly.
He was still doing the Smiters and all
Yeah,
that, though.
Smiter was in there in Voice, I saw. I mean, he might have been playing some other stuff because he didn't have the full playset of stuff. I don't really know. I didn't see his list afterward.
But I did see Elspeth in there, and I thought that was kind of unusual for the green-white.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, but I mean, it killed me anyway, so.
Do you feel like ordinarily you should have a good match against that?
I feel like I could probably create bigger threats than it can deal with more often than not.
He was probably doing Polychronos as well, right?
I would think so. I mean, it was a different build, but he needed to have things that would come in and pump his Experiment 1. So I'm assuming he's playing a lot of creatures, or Advent of the Worm, I think he had that.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So,
all right.
If he wasn't playing one, he was playing the other, most likely.
So, started on a loss, never good, but...
But in my next round, I played blue-white heroic deck, and I beat it 2-0. He got mana screwed in like both his games, and I actually, in both our games, and I was doing really well with what I was drawing. So I kind of lived the dream in those games and got Garrick into Sylvan, or, Garrick into Draw a Million. And it was pretty fun when it was going off, so the deck is cool, but it's like any other ramp deck. You are luck reliant, you have to hope that you get the awesome hands and the great draws to make sure that you're continuing forward with the game instead of just doing nothing, I guess. Because it always sucks to draw all of your ramp and no gas.
Yeah, I feel like blue-white heroic ordinarily fairly weak deck because there's such good removal right now. But against you, since you don't have any spot removal, it could actually be devastating if you hit the right heroic guy early and then buff the hell out of him or something. Like, do you remember what kind of auras he was playing, or if there were any instant speed spells, or what was he triggering heroic with?
I think it was mostly the ordeals, which
Blue
do
and
work.
White?
Yeah, which do work well with
Did he have the Fabled Hero?
Yeah, he had Fabled Hero in his deck and
Battle-wise
stuff like
Hoplite.
And
then Favorite Hoplite?
Yeah, and Failing Fleeter, I think, too.
So all the cheap ones.
Yeah.
Okay.
It could have been a good deck. I think it was just the event deck with a couple additions that he had done.
That deck probably needs Mizium Skin or God's Willing or both.
I really like both, actually, because they help to avoid different things, you know.
And you want to dodge spot removal
Mhm.
above all else. Because, like we said, I mean, the removal in the format right now is insanely good.
Mhm.
Okay, so you beat that
Mhm.
2-0 due to a little mana screw.
I didn't really sideboard against it. He was kind of a newer player in our meta, and like I said, it was just the event deck with a few little additions he had put in. So I didn't really get the chance to sideboard against it, I guess. Otherwise, I probably would have put in the Mistcutter Hydra, you know, and maybe even done something like Destructive Revelry, or probably only that
Okay.
to get rid of an Ordeal if I wanted to.
And it's kind of cool for him because the ordeals would probably already generate a little bit of value if you got an attack or two in.
Yeah. Ordeals work really well with the +1/+1 counter heroic guy.
Because they trigger faster too.
In my third round, I played green-white mid-range, and I beat it 2-1.
Was this more of a stock one?
Yeah, this is the I stop at 4 mana mid-range kind of deck that was
Holocranos, Voice,
yeah.
Boon Satyr.
Definitely locks it on Smiter, Voice, and Advent of the Worm. Unflinching Courage.
Main deck?
Yeah, I think so. Well, I only saw it in game 2, so maybe it was sideboard.
Yeah, well, I feel like it's not even that good of a sideboard against you because you have so much fatty stuff, but maybe it's decent because you don't have any actual removal. I don't know. I feel like the life gain's less relevant against you because once you get to an inevitable point with just a bunch of fatties. But green-white also has Selesnya Charms, which I think are really good against you.
Yeah, they are very good against you.
Because all your guys are so huge. It kills pretty much all of your fat creatures.
Yeah, and he did get me in the second game. And
with a couple Selesnya Charms.
Yeah, I think it was Selesnya Charms and Unflinching Courage, actually.
Okay.
If he puts it on the worm token, then it's like, you know, it's a 7/7. I don't really have a lot of guys that can block it one-on-one, so I'd have to trade at least one guy for it.
Okay, so I could see how that's good against you.
But, you know, it also takes me a little bit to get all of my guys online, even with ramping, so...
You got the nutty play in this match, right?
Yeah, this was the one where I sideboarded into Bow of Nylea, and I think that might have been it. Maybe I put in the Guild Feud and the second Rurik Thar.
Okay.
Just because I think Guild Feud is actually pretty good against that deck since they do Advent, and he was doing Call of the Conclave. So his creatures were tokens.
So he couldn't even play it off Guild Feud.
Yeah. So, and most of my guys are huge, so I thought I could mostly make him whiff if I ever got it down. It's just something I'm trying out, and I never have gotten it off yet, but I like the idea of it. Anyway, yeah, I was able to attack in with Apollo Kranos, and he had like 3 creatures out, I think.
Like an Archangel of Thune.
And one was an Archangel of Thune. So I was able to kill them all during attack, because Apollo Kranos has Death Touch while it's attacking if you have the Bow of Nylea out, so if you make it monstrous during attack, you'll actually kill
anything you deal damage
to.
Yeah. And your guy survived too?
No, I don't think so. I think
just traded 3 for 1? Or?
Yeah, 3 for 1. It was 2 big guys. I think it might have been a worm token and
it's still
Archangel. Yeah, it's still
amazing
very
value.
worthy. Anyway, that was pretty cool. That was actually the highlight of the day. Rurik Thar is really good in that matchup too, because he is running Advent of the Worm and
Call. Call. That's right. So it would just punish him hard when he plays those spells.
And even Selesnya Charm, it's like, yeah, you can take 6 damage to remove my 6/6.
And the Courage too. So that's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff you can hit.
And the Sylvan Primordials and the Rurik Thars are all reach, so it helped against Archangel of Thune.
Yeah, I think Archangel is probably something that's not extensively played in green-white. But
I think it was like maybe a 1 or 2 of. Maybe they come in to complement the Unflinching Courage or something.
But it's cool to see it pop up. I still think it's a good spell.
Yeah, it's good. And in my last round, I played against Junk Midrange, and I beat this deck 2-0.
And this deck is like all the green-white mid-range shell,
Mhm.
like Voice and Loxodon Smiter and Advent of the Worm,
Mhm.
as like the green-white, and then the rest is sort of the removal of black. So
Yeah.
it's like Hero's Downfall. Is he doing Devour Flesh or?
Definitely had Putrefy and Abrupt Decay. I don't know if he did.
Yeah, I think that.
Devour
Okay, that
Flesh.
sounds right. And then is there? Okay, so that's the green-white. That's the green-black. Is there any black-white?
I think Bloodbearing gets played in that deck,
Yeah, that sounds right.
and maybe
And then
even
also
Obzedat.
Thoughtseize for sure.
Obzedat and Whip, probably.
Okay, wow. So I like that Junk has that many cool
Mm-hmm.
tools at its disposal. But usually that deck does really well, but you beat it 2-0, so what was the secret in that match?
Um, he actually, in the second game, he just kept drawing lands, so it was partially Mana Screw. Definitely Mana Screw was involved in that one. But in the first game, I think I just creatured him. He couldn't remove everything that I was playing, and he Hero's Downfall to Dawnray after I had used the fight ability to kill something.
So you got value off of
Yeah,
that.
and then I top decked it Dawnray and got more value, and I kept hitting the creature draw when I would do it, except like I think I missed 3 or 4 times. But
For the
like I
most
said,
part,
I'm
you're
trying
doing,
to I'm
yeah.
trying to run as many creatures as I can. I think I'm running 30 total, but it might even be one more than that. I have 20,
It's like 28.
only 28. That sucks.
Still a lot.
Well, I would like to run 30 then.
All right.
And I guess overall, I guess I should move on to the white weenie. I did top 8. I
Yep.
went 3-1.
Okay.
And I played white weenie in the first round of top 8, and I lost to it 0-2. It was actually kind of a combination of, well, definitely in the first game I got color screwed. I didn't have double green, which is almost impossible. But I just
That
didn't
is
get
weird.
it. Yeah.
I feel like this deck could have benefited from a couple Electrickeries out of sideboard, just to really, because it's good against me. It's good against my deck. Hits a lot of good stuff, and I would definitely. I mean, hoses like everything in white weenie, and it's actually not the worst against mono blue devotion either. Even though it doesn't kill master waves, it kills all the tokens, and
I wouldn't mind just killing Cloudfin Raptor in turn 1.
Yeah, you can kill it early.
Stuff like that.
It's not amazing, but it's actually very crippling against the white weenie deck in particular. It's actually good randomly against that black-red hasty deck too.
With Spike Jester in there too.
Yeah, and the Rakdos Shred Freaks, so you can kill those guys. So
yeah, that's a good idea. The other thing I guess was that I didn't really like the 4 of Garrick actually. He's really good in this deck, but I would actually rather have him as a 3 of.
that makes sense.
I don't know if I like Clan Defiance. It's cool, and I know that it's a dump for Nykthos, but as a 1 of, it doesn't really show up as often as you need it to. So there would be 2 slots I could open up for more creatures, I think. And Xenagos was cool. I did bring him in a few times in the junk mid-range matchup. I think I brought him in. And against the green-white mid-range in round 3, I think I brought him in.
And you think he's good in those matches?
Yeah. Just generating more mana is good if it's early or getting creatures, depending on what you need. It's really good in those matchups. And especially to have creatures that they can't just Celestian Charm away, and that you can use to shunt block with. Anyway, yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. I don't know that I want to play it again necessarily, because it is a ramp deck, so it has that quality.
Since I'm borrowing your Burning Trees, that would have been a good aspect to add to this deck, because you have the Nykthos. So it would have made sense, because it literally ramps you into ooze, or not ramps necessarily, but like progresses you into Sylvan Caryatid, Scavenging Ooze, another Elvish Mystic, Voiding Satyr. There's actually a lot you can do with that Burning Tree mana, besides more Burning Trees. And just the Burning Tree with Nykthos is such...
Yeah, it's really good synergy.
Yeah. That adds up real quick. And did you get some sick stuff with like the Arbor Colossus and Nykthos at some points? And you were just
Yeah, I
generating
think
all
so.
sorts of mana.
I definitely, yeah, actually in the blue-white heroic game, I did use Clan Defiance for like 25.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah,
Must have had a ridiculous board state at that point.
yeah.
Was it a double Nykthos thing? Is that what it was?
No, it was Voyaging Satyr is really good with Nykthos, and it was probably double Arbor Colossus Voyaging Satyr as a 2 or 3 of. No, it must have been a 3 of Voyaging Satyr.
And if you don't play this deck again, you're thinking about going back to blue-white control, is that right? You were
Yeah.
talking to me instead of doing Esper, you want to see if maybe you can get away with just blue-white?
Yeah, I want to see if blue-white is better than
Just
Esper.
making mostly because it makes your mana base
Yeah,
easier.
I mean, black is cool. I don't have a problem with it at all, but blue-white was really strong when I was playing it.
You think
before.
you just don't need the Hero's Downfall, don't really need the Devour Fleshes, presumably, probably don't need the Thought Seizes?
Yeah, not really. I mean, I like them, but
What about the Ashiok? You were having
yeah,
fun with that?
that was a lot of fun. But I'm sure you can find better or different.
Just Elspeth
Skill
and
conditions, yeah.
Aetherling.
Hmm
Those are, you have like 1 Aetherling, 2 Elspeth, and you're
Yeah.
probably good on win cons.
And 2 Elspeth is really fun to play because
You got your 4 Jace, so
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it was before. It was 2 and 1 for, or when I played blue-white before, so.
and just the rest of the shell of that deck is so amazing. The
Mhm.
Zori's Charm and Sphinx's Revelation, Detention Spheres, Supreme Verdicts, obviously.
hmm
Elixir of Immortality's super popular right now.
It's really good because
You
you
just
draw
filter
so
through your
much
deck.
cards.
That-
There are
yeah.
so many cards.
You can, you end up with like 30 cards in your graveyard really fast.
hmm
So you probably just do, how many like memory depths out of sideboard or something? Like a one
Just
of?
one,
Okay.
probably.
Obviously good for the mirror match.
Mhm.
There's a little bit of control played in our meta, but you represent most of the control element of our meta.
Mm.
So it was definitely unusual for you to come in with like the red-green big fat creature deck.
It
But-
was fun to play, but like I said, I don't like how it's kind of it needs this whole pattern of stuff to happen every time to win.
In the right sequence.
Yeah. That kind of gameplay actually kind of drives me crazy because it's the same game every time that you need to happen. So
That was cool to see Sylvan Primordial though. I
Mhm.
like it as you get the land destruction. Once again, another way to get rid of the underworld connections.
I killed Elspeth with it at least once.
Oh
I
wow,
know that.
I didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
It's literally a 7 mana kill your planeswalker,
Mhm.
get a 6/8.
I'm wondering if
And
I
it
killed
ramps you,
another one.
too.
Yeah, and it ramps you.
There's a ton of stuff that thing gives.
And it's 6/8 reach, so it's like it even blocks the world.
That's
when
really
it comes down.
intriguing, actually. I'm curious about that alongside the Burning Tree with the 4 Nykthos deck.
Mhm.
Maybe slightly tweaked, but
I think if this deck had been playing the Burning Trees, it would have been a lot more consistent, with getting the Nykthos to go off.
okay. That's cool. Yeah, it's a cool list. I might even maybe want to, if you don't dismantle it, take a look
I
at
don't
it.
necessarily have to take it apart.
That's cool. Yeah, it looks like a fun list.
I would, if you're looking at getting the Burning Trees in, I would take out a Voyaging Satyr and an Arbor Colossus, and maybe even the 2 Scavenging Ooze, and then put all 4 Burning Trees in.
Okay. Something to think about.
Or I guess you could take out a Sylvan Primordial or 2.
You made top 8 with it the first week you played it, so that's always a really good sign. Because I
Yeah.
don't even think you got playtesting in with it, really.
No,
right?
I didn't play test it at all. I did a few practice hands, but that's about
So
it.
that's a good sign. It's a good sign. I like it. That's a cool list. And you beat substantial decks towards the end there,
Yeah, I didn't get to play against a control deck.
where I think you'd probably be a little bit weak, but
Mhm.
but maybe not. Maybe you only have to play 1 threat. So, but I guess
But it's all ramp creatures, so the Supreme Verdict is even more devastating in that respect. But there's not really a good sideboard against it. I think Guild Feud would have been really good against a control deck, though, because it's like the unanswerable threat, or
Mhm.
the uncounterable threat, I should
Yeah.
say.
if you can resolve your guild feud,
But that's, yeah.
they run a lot of
But
dissolves.
Mistcutter Hydra, haha.
Yeah, that one's actually really good.
In a
And
ramp.
actually, Skylasher is starting to get a little bit in vogue.
I really like that card.
Not only because it's good against the Detention Sphere of Zori's Charm, but it's like devastating good against Mono Blue Devotion. since it locks down pretty much anything.
Yeah, I'd be really actually more interested in playing the Gruul aggro or whatever it is that's out there that uses the 4 Skylashers.
Main deck, yeah.
But I mean, Skylasher is not the best card ever, but that deck looked cool.
And mono blue is really popular right now, so I like the idea of it. They can only like unblockable past it with Thassa pretty much. Otherwise, you just have you not only have like the best wall in the world, but you have something that's constantly pinging them.
Yeah, it's
like,
too bad it doesn't have vigilance.
Put a madcap on that, and mono blue, the only thing they can do is like overload Cyclonic Rift pretty much. So you can just bash in for 5 every turn, unblockable. It's a quick clock. So that's actually something maybe I want to think about too, the Gruul aggro. Because I want to get back in with Gorklan Rampager too, because I miss playing that card.
Really good. Yeah.
Just one of the few that straight up goes over top of Reckoner, who does not care at all about Reckoner.
Yeah. It's really good with bow. And, you know, because you only have to deal 1 damage to each blocker.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. With the trample on Gorklan Rampager too, yeah. That's good versatility. So that might be a deck maybe you and I can talk about. Spitball about it. Figure that one out. Alright, that's it for the F&M report now. Weird Harvest. Alright, this week, Gaseous Form. This is an old school card. I think we already did a Phil Foglio art one. Which one did he do? Did he do...
Was it Presence of the Master or Eureka?
I thought Eureka was the wife of somebody. So yeah, alright, he did Presence of the Master as well, so it looks like Phil Foglio's got the art that we're looking for Weird Harvest.
Yeah.
Gaseous Form is one that really is nostalgic for me, and the name's a little bit funny because you get the fart reference with Gaseous immediately. But let's talk about the picture, because Phil Foglio is a very unique artist.
One might say cartoonish.
So this picture is almost like they're in this nondescript hallway. There's a wooden door. You see the visage of clearly a woman, since it has breasts and hips like a woman. But it's wielding a sword. It's like a
ghost tranny.
It's a smoke woman, and she's smiling, and she doesn't even look menacing, really, right?
She's got a come hither.
I mean,
finger
she does have a sword, but she's not. She doesn't really look menacing. She just looks jovial.
You see the dagger in the door too.
I was wondering about it. It almost looks like a bird.
Yeah. He threw the dagger at her, and it went right through her.
Is that what that's supposed to be? I see.
And that's why he's scared.
But
even more scared.
Now, Jake, you said he. What are you referring to exactly? That threw the dagger.
The chicken-footed green thing on the right that we're only to presume is a goblin.
The outfit on the goblin is absolutely ridiculous. It's wearing striped blue-white pantaloons with a sort of a matching...
I do like the matching set top, by the way.
It's like an orange vest or orange jacket with the sleeves rolled up, revealing the pantaloon pattern.
Which is on the inside. Very Vogue.
He has a beautiful belt.
Wherever he is.
His belt is my favorite part, his favorite accessory.
It looks like he's some sort of pimp, actually. Now that I think about it, it does look like he's a pimp.
So, a ghostly visage... Maybe it's of a prostitute that he ended up either killing or having killed.
Well,
this card makes so much more sense.
She's just pretending to be dead because she's enchanted with gaseous form, you know.
Oh, I see. That's a good point. Well, let's read what the card does. We've described him pretty well. He also has a pretty unique hat.
Yeah, his hat is, I think, obnoxious and does not go with the outfit.
What is the
pattern?
Yeah,
I don't know. Pilgrims?
The card itself, let's read the original text first. That's always fun. And then we'll do the Oracle text. So the original is, it's a 2 and a blue enchant creature, aura. Damage done to target creature by creatures it blocks or that block it is reduced to 0. Creature deals no damage during combat. Beautiful text on that originally. The new text is, prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to and dealt by enchanted creature.
Whoa.
Really unique blue spell. kind of turns turns a creature into a wall of
mist.
yeah,
Wall
right.
of vapor.
Wall
actually,
of okay.
is
Which was,
the
that was a
original.
0/1 4-drop one. Okay,
Mhm.
so it basically turns a creature into a wall of vapor. They can't attack anymore.
Or
Well,
even
can
fog
they?
bank.
No, I guess they can attack, but they don't deal any damage and they don't take any. They don't deal any
Yeah.
combat damage and they don't take any combat
Mhm.
damage. They can still deal ability damage.
Mhm.
So like this doesn't stop, prodigal sorcerer abilities or stuff
Yeah,
like that.
which is really, really good. When you think about having just
A blocker that can
wall,
ping
a
afterwards.
permanent wall. Yeah.
Maybe that was originally what it was intended for. Actually, I was never sure if this card was designed to be with the intention of offensive or defensive in mind. I mean, obviously it
I think
fulfills both, but
I think that's the idea behind it. Actually, is that it fulfills both.
I'm trying to think where it was probably more often played. Was it played offensively
I think using it or like
on their
defensively,
guys?
That was the way that I remember playing
It makes sense like that because blue would have other stuff to do later in the game.
Mhm.
Like if something that they couldn't counter resolved, this would be a nice way to be like, okay, I don't have to worry about him anymore.
Exactly.
And a lot of times blue had flyers,
fly,
so
yeah.
they could fly over top or even unblockable past them.
Mhm.
I always kind of liked this card, and I feel like I played it early
I did
in
too.
Magic. Obviously, it's very dated now, but the art for me is one of the most nostalgic ones.
yeah.
It really does bring me back to like the beginning of Magic. It's just such a goofy art, and I never even noticed that dagger in the wall before.
Mhm.
Thank you for pointing that out. My life is complete.
It looks like he barred the door from her, and she came through it even.
I love how he's got this like, oh my, fearful look.
I also love that his back is pressed against the card frame. Like he
Yeah.
is trying his hardest to get as far away from her as possible. He can't.
It's almost like his leg is. Look how his leg is like
I
bending.
know.
It doesn't even make sense.
It's because he's chicken-footed.
He doesn't.
Make
He's
any
not
sense.
He's not a goblin because a goblin wouldn't have chicken feet like that.
Well,
He could be
it could be a goblin.
He could be a mutant goblin with chicken feet.
It could be a goblin. He could be a toad creature.
Do you think there's
'Cause his hands
relevance
look pretty toady.
to the fact that his belt is jund? I was just thinking about that because he has like the red one,
I
he's
doubt
got the
it.
green one, and he has the black one.
I mean, other than his pants are also blue and white, so technically you have
He
all
represents all colors. I don't know.
represented there. So
That really could mean
he's
something.
a planeswalker. He's a
I doubt that.
terrified chicken.
That would actually make me really happy if they fulfilled the legacy of this card by making a chicken-footed planeswalker.
They should actually release it in the next set. That's a good.
Bring back Gaseous form.
No, just the guy in it as a planeswalker.
That's really funny that he is
art
leaning against the side of the card frame. That's really funny. I love how his like jaw too. He's got like it's almost like a severe underbite.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
He's weird looking. He's
Like,
very strange looking.
If he were to close his mouth, he would have a.
He doesn't even have a
underbite.
nose. I mean,
a little bit, just not a very goblin-esque one.
He looks like amphibian in nature, so maybe he's an amphin,
Or one of what's the slippery boggle line?
Beast. It's a beast.
Oh, well, I don't think he's a beast. He is scaly though, which is maybe he's like dragon, something like that.
A dragonling.
He's
a
a little
dragon mutant.
Dragon mutant. Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right on the initial one. It's probably just a goblin.
Mm-hmm.
But is that like his ear? And that's off frame or something? They just didn't get the...
I think they wanted it to be him pressed against the frame really badly. So they might have cut some stuff,
Do you think it's interesting that the Vaporous sword also has like a shimmer?
Sheen? Yeah, I do think it's interesting, actually.
Which actually doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I mean, in the gaseous like realm of existence, it's got the sheen on it.
Yeah. I mean, her shoulder does, which makes more sense to me, but the fact that it's like the twinkle, actually, that's what it is. It's the sword twinkle that you put to signify metal shining, It's not like the bottom part of it, which shows just a shimmer, more like water glistening. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I think so. I believe so. But are we supposed to believe that that is happening?
That's metal. She's going to kill him.
Well, since she can't kill him because of the card, we must infer that that shimmer is only in the vaporous realm of existence, not the actual realm. Well, I feel like we've pretty well established what's going on in this card.
Look at some of the other arts. I think Tempest was different.
We can look at a couple of the
I
other
like
art.
this one. I think the most.
That's kind of cool. Is that a actual character we should know?
No, it's not.
Okay. And is that all the art that just those two or?
No, 5th edition was different.
Oh, okay. Oh,
That
this is a
one's kinda
bizarre one
interesting,
too.
Yeah.
The 5th edition one shows looks like a woman. Oh, I see. Okay.
I
So
think
it's like-
she's like made him and like put the enchantment on him.
And this
Yeah.
guy's fearful.
Yeah.
Okay. He looks pretty sinewy and muscly
Yeah,
to be.
yeah,
that
to be a
scared.
coward. What a pussy.
Should have made him a little
Yeah.
thinner. I like his or his
Yeah, for a barbarian, he is a pretty big
his
coward.
fur blanket, and it seems like his woman must have been upset with him and is summoning some sort of
Yeah.
non-threatening looking white ghostly.
Well, isn't she
visage.
enchanting the man who's intruding upon their house or something? Or
Oh,
look,
I don't
the
know.
door is barred again, so we're led to believe that that gaseous form has just came through the door. So he thinks it's a spirit. She just throws a mace through it and finds out it's just vapor anyway.
Still think I gotta go with the Legends
Yeah,
art on
Legends
this
is
one.
sweet.
It's my favorite one. All right, that's it for this week. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. I appreciate it. Email me, mortarpod@seemsgoodmagic.com, Twitter @seemsgoodmagic, and that's it. Wrap it up. We'll see you guys later next
Later.
week.
Have a good one.
Have a good